You might have watched the movie Painkiller with Matthew Broderick, and you were thinking to yourself, is this really how pharmaceutical companies are? And I want to give you kind of my perspective from someone who worked in the industry for almost 20 years, including working as a pharmaceutical sales rep and eventually working in an area called medical affairs. This particular scene that we're referring to in the link below is a doctor berating a pharmaceutical sales rep about data she wants to show, she wants to show him. And he just kind of grabs the sales aide and says, "I'll read that and take a look at it." Now, first of all, to be honest, doctors generally are not that rude. There's some that are arrogant, but generally they're pretty nice and welcoming to pharmaceutical sales reps, because the reality is they want to get free lunches and they need samples for their patients. A lot of times doctors will give patients a starting sample of a drug to get them started till they get their prescription, because there might be a lag or delay in getting the prescription. So they welcome samples. So that's important to understand that. And when I say lunches, a lot of times pharmaceutical sales reps will go in to a doctor's office and schedule a lunch. So oftentimes the lunches that doctors have almost every day, especially in large busy offices, are going to be sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. Now, for a pharmaceutical sales rep, I would say the biggest challenge today in 2024 is time and access. Today, pharmaceutical sales reps have a difficult time really getting ample amount of visibility and seeing time to just talk to the doctor. So oftentimes they might just go and say, "Hey, can Dr. So and so, can you just sign for this sample? Just reminder, our drug is great. It doesn't cause headaches. It lowers pain by 30%. Whatever the indication or whatever it is that they're trying to push, and that'll be it. It'll be a quick interaction." In the movie Painkiller, what we see though is that the pharmaceutical sales reps are presenting the information or the data in a biased way, and in a way that really, if you're a physician and you only have 30 seconds with the pharmaceutical sales rep, you might misunderstand or misinterpret that information. Because you have to understand, physicians today are very busy. They're overwhelmed by a lot of administrative burden. I've talked about this before in other videos, especially with pharmacy benefit managers and the obstacles they're causing from an administrative perspective for physicians and other types of healthcare providers. So they're inundated with paperwork. So they don't have a lot of time to look at clinical trials and studies, especially if you're a physician in the trenches, like you're seeing patients every day. You might be seeing hundreds of patients a week. So they rely on pharmaceutical companies ultimately to provide them with what they're hoping is objective, unbiased information. And I will say, for the most part, that is what happens. I could tell you, someone that was a pharmaceutical sales rep at two different companies, we're trained to be objective. We're trained to be unbiased and ethical and always give a fair balance. And I put that in air quotes, but fair balance, what that means is that we have to talk about the drug's effectiveness or efficacy, but also its safety. That's important to address safety as well. And people don't know this, but in a pharmaceutical company, you have a division called compliance. And the people that work in compliance, they're kind of like the policemen or women of the pharma company. They're there to say, "Hey, look, you can't say that. You can't do that. You can't present it this way." So they're really providing all the boundaries and safeguards so that people just don't go out and market and sell and talk about the product how they want. So I would say that this is somewhat realistic, but not. I don't think physicians, again, are this aggressive with pharmaceutical sales reps. Now, what I will say is that since this period of time where there was this big push for the painkillers like oxycodone or oxycontin back in the day, there's been a huge increase in the number of medical science liaisons, and I've talked about this in other videos as well. If you look at some of the other videos that I've done on our YouTube channel, I address what medical science liaisons are and what they do. But that's why they're important, because in the end of the day, the rep gets on average 30 seconds to a minute with a doctor, whereas a medical science liaison on average gets 45 minutes. And these are people that are highly trained. They have an MD, they have a PhD, they have a PharmD, meaning pharmacist degree, and they're out there educating physicians instead of just selling to them. So they have a lot more time to get in depth. But even I would say today, even for them, access has been a challenge for medical affairs professionals or medical science liaisons. What I will say is, I think that this movie Painkiller on Netflix, or this series, I think it was a movie actually, yeah, on Netflix, what it showed really was that in the end of the day, you need to have standards in place to make sure that pharmaceutical sales reps are all singing from the same tune or singing from the same hymn sheet, or they're presenting information consistently, right? Because if I'm a pharma rep in, I don't know, New York, and someone else is a pharma rep in LA, and there's another one in Chicago, we're all, we're all on different pages. There's not consistency or alignment or uniformity in our competency and our knowledge and our understanding and our training. We may present information even inadvertently and in a way that may not be really objective. And that's an important point for a lot of pharmaceutical sales reps. Oftentimes, they're not trying to be malicious. If they do make a mistake, oftentimes I would argue it's not voluntarily. Okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know what other types of topics you're interested in as it relates to the pharmaceutical industry. I'll talk to you guys soon.